Okay. Today we shall continue with our theory, and we did last class we studied form and function, form class and function class. We also studied time and tenses. We also picked up a practice session from the module 4. We started with simple present tense. Likewise, today we shall be doing module 1 theory part, and then in the next video we shall take up module 4 practice session, and we shall continue with simple present tense, few exercises, and then we'll move on to present continuous and so on. So module 4 is mostly to do with the practice session, and module 1 to do with the theory. So here today's class is all about theory. All right. Now the second topic, say the next topic, is identifying grammatical labels and functional labels. It forms a part of labels. Now we do have names for various like you have nouns and pronouns. These words are labeled, and therefore it is labeled according to the grammatical label and functional labels. Now let's see what this grammatical label and functional label is. Grammatical label is a form concerned with the description of linguistic units in terms of what they are, their name. Okay, in other words, we will be concerned only with 3 levels, that is the word, phrase and clause. In traditional grammar, or traditionally, this term is referred to as parts of speech, like you have nouns, pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, etc. So this we shall start with grammatical labels, and then we shall move on to functional labels. I shall explain what functional labels are after completing grammatical labels. Now, grammatical labels are referred to as parts of speech. Traditionally, they are called parts of speech. Let's start with the first one. Noun. Noun, you all know what nouns are. I don't have to teach you. Noun means name, right? The label is given to the name of a person, place, thing, idea, or belief. Nouns are often, preceded by the or a or an, not the articles. Certain times, not with the proper nouns. However, nouns also ask the questions who and what. Now, they can be found on 3 levels. I did tell you that grammatical labels are concerned with 3 levels only, and that is the word, the phrase and the clause. So let's first take the example of how it performs in a word, as a word. The class, okay, the class went on a field trip to the zoo. The class went on a field trip to the zoo. Now this asks the question, who went? Who went? The class. On what? On a field trip. Where did they go? To what? To the zoo. So each time you get class, you have the field trip, you have the zoo, and they are the words. These words can be named as nouns. Now next, let's take the example of phrase. Okay. enjoys playing baseball. Baseball. She enjoys playing baseball. So look at this phrase here. The phrase playing baseball. Now playing baseball is the noun phrase. Okay, it is the phrase. All right. So first section, nouns are labeled as, they are called nouns when they form or at 3 levels only. Level 1 is words, that is the name of person, place or things or ideas or beliefs, etc. The next level is phrases, it is a noun phrase. Now playing baseball. Next one you will have the clause. The third level is the clause. Now look at the clause here. Which is the clause here? Whatever you want to do is the clause. Whatever you want to do, this whole part becomes the clause. So this is labeled as noun. Okay. So when it comes to labeling, it is concerned with 3 levels. The first level is in the word, the phrase and the clause. The first one was noun as of words, next is noun as a phrase, and the next one is noun as a clause. Okay, how it functions as a clause or noun as a clause. So it is labeled accordingly. So what is fine? It gives the question, what is fine? Whatever you do, you want to do is fine. That is a clause. All right. These clauses, phrases and all are things that you studied in your high school. So I don't think I have to go into it. Now next one, the next word, the next label after noun is pronouns. Now what are pronouns? Pronouns, they are used instead of nouns. So in a pronoun, you also get the question, you also get the answer to the question who or what. For instance, they, I, you, we, etc. are pronouns. Now pronouns again can be labeled accordingly. Now pronouns can be labeled according to its number, pronouns can be labeled according to its gender, case, person, and pronouns are also divided into personal pronouns, indefinite pronouns, interrogative pronouns, relative pronouns and demonstrative pronouns. So pronouns, they take the place of nouns. He, she, it, they, all these are pronouns. Now pronouns, they are labeled, now remember this is theory, okay. So pronouns can be labeled according to the following. Pronouns are labeled according to the number, either singular or plural. If so, you use the terms it and they, example it and they. They are labeled according to gender, yes. So he or she, they are labeled according to the case, that is he, him, his, himself, depending on whether it is subjective, whether it is objective, whether it is possessive or reflexive. Whether they are reflexive pronouns, possessive pronouns, which case it takes. Okay. Then They are also labeled according to the person, first person, second person, third person singular, or first person, second person, third person plural. Like you have I, you, he, she, it. So they are labeled accordingly. So they are labeled as per the number, the gender, the case, and person. Clear? Now, as I told you earlier, it is also divided into groups. So pronouns, they are divided into groups, and they are divided as per personal pronouns, indefinite pronouns, interrogative pronouns, relative pronouns, and demonstrative pronouns. Now personal pronouns are I, you, she, he, it, they, we, etc. Indefinite pronouns are anybody, somebody, each, everyone, etc. Interrogative pronouns are who, what, which, etc. with a question mark. They are interrogating. It's a question. Relative pronouns are that, which, who, whom, whose. It's a relative pronoun, not interrogative pronoun. Okay. It is used as a link. Now demonstrative pronoun, this, that, these, those. So it is based on this that the pronouns are further divided into groups. So pronouns, it takes the place of nouns. They are labeled as pronouns because they take the place of nouns. They can be labeled according to what? According to the number, gender, case, person. Number, either it is singular or plural. Example, it or they. Gender, it is male or female, he or she. According to its case, that is whether it is in the subjective case, objective, possessive or reflexive pronoun, subjective pronoun, objective, possessive or reflexive pronoun, like for instance he, him, his, himself, how it stands according to its case. Now it is the person, you can be the first person, second person, third person, singular or plural. Like for example, I, you, he, she, it. So they are labeled according to how they come in the sentence. So if they are, if they come as the first person singular, they are labeled as in terms of person. If it is gender, then they are labeled according to the gender it takes. So they are labeled according to these things that we studied. Now also pronouns, they are divided into groups. They are divided into personal pronouns, indefinite pronouns, interrogative pronouns, relative pronouns and demonstrative pronouns. Alright, now we will move on to the next word, that is adjectives. All of us know what adjectives are. Adjectives is, if you ask a small child, he will tell you it's a describing word. Adjectives describes nouns or pronouns. So adjectives answer the question what kind, how many, whose, which one. They function as modifiers, that is in a sentence, and they also can be labeled in the 3 level as we labeled nouns. The 3 levels are word level, phrase level and clause. Okay, so let's first see how they are labeled according to the word level. So adjectives, like the nouns, they are also divided according to the levels. The first one is the word level. Look at the sentence. Tommy pulled the red wagon down the street. So at the word level, the word red functions as the adjective. So Tommy pulled what? Red wagon. It is describing what? The wagon. Okay, red wagon down the street. So this is the word level. Now let's come to the phrase level, adjectival phrase, which you have studied. Yes, the phrase level. Now, at the phrase level, look at the phrase. The phrase with the beard is acting as an adjectival phrase. Okay, a man with a beard came into the room. Which man? A man with the beard. So the man is described. Now, this is the phrase level. With the beard is the phrase. So that is when it speaks in terms of adjectival phrase. The phrase becomes an adjective. The adjective is the describing word. The adjective is a phrase here. Okay, with a beard. Here it was a word, but here it is the phrase. Which man? It qualifies or asks the question. Which man? A man with a beard came into the room. So this is the phrase level, the word level, phrase level. Now let's next look at the clause level. As an adjectival clause. Now, this is the clause level. When you ask the question, which students? All students whose cars are illegally parked will be ticketed. They will be fined. So, whose cars? That clause becomes adjectival clause. Which students? Whose? The students whose cars are illegally parked will be ticketed. So this clause, this part, the clause becomes adjectival clause. Alright, we are not going into detail of the clauses, the phrases, what is a clause, what is a phrase. Of course, it will be taken up by Sunny sir. And I am pretty sure this is going to be at the graduation level. You have studied all this in your 8th, 9th and 10th standard. Alright. So, adjectives are describing words and they answer the question, what kind, how many, whose, which one, a red rose, a brilliant boy, a dozen eggs, okay. So, all these are adjectives. Now, again adjectives are modifiers. Then they also, just like the nouns, they also falls in 3 levels. word level, phrase level and clause level. Word level is the adjectives as such describing word, the describing word. So Tommy pulled the red wagon. What kind of wagon? Which color? Red wagon. At phrase level it is man with a beard came into the room. So which man? The man with the beard. So the phrase with a beard becomes the adjective there. So it's an adjectival phrase. And next level is the clause level. All students whose cars are illegally parked will be ticketed. Which students? The students whose cars are illegally parked. So that clause becomes the adjectival clause. Okay. See, even articles can be, they are also special forms of adjectives. Well, it's optional whether you want to name them as, label them as adjective is optional, but adjectives are also special type of, articles are also special type of adjectives. Articles like a and the, they are also special type of adjectives, but it's optional. If you don't have to actually name them or label them, it's optional. Now next is verbs. Verbs show physical or mental action of the subject. They may also reflect the state of being. That is, the subject just is in whichever particular state. The complete verb along with its complements and modifiers functions as the predicate in the sentence. You have the subject and the predicate. So the complete verb along with the, after the subject, you know how to mark, distinguish or divide the subject and the predicate. Normally we try to find the verb, and whatever comes after the subject is what is who is being spoken about, or who is being spoken, the main speaker, and the rest of it after the verb becomes the predicate. You know how to divide that, don't you? So the complete verb along with the complements, the modifiers, the function, they all form the predicate of the of a sentence. Now verb always answers the question what is happening, what has happened, or what will happen. They are again labeled primarily at the word level. Now when we looked at nouns and adjectives, they are labeled at three levels: word, phrases and clauses. Here they are also labeled in the three levels, but primarily verbs are labeled at the word level. Okay, so let's try to write, or I'll explain with a few examples. Now, Marge will go with you. You have this auxiliary. Auxiliaries are also verbs. Auxiliaries and modals, they are also verbs. They are the helping verbs, as you call it. They are also part of verbs. So will and go is a verb here. Okay, and how do you divide it into subject and predicate? Who's being spoken of here? Marge, right? So where is the first verb? The first verb is will. Will is an auxiliary, it is a verb. So the first verb is will, go is the second verb. So very much next to the first verb, divided, all this forms the predicate. And this is the subject. Clear? So the next one, the baby has been crying for 2 hours. Has been crying for 2 hours. Now, which is the verb here? Has been crying. So this is the verb. Has been crying is the verb, right? Now how do you divide it in subject and predicate? What is spoken of, or who is being spoken of here? The subject is the baby, where is the verb? The first verb is has. Put a divided just before the first verb, and there you get the predicate and you have the subject here. Okay. The coach sat and pondered the situation. The coach sat and pondered the situation. How many verbs do we have? We have two verbs, sat, pondered. We have both verbs. Again, how to be divided? The coach sat and pondered the situation will become the predicate. Alright. So next one is adverbs. So after verbs we have adverbs. Adverbs are modifiers. Okay, they are the one that modifies or describes or modifies a verb, an adjective, and also other adverbs. Like for instance, that you write nicely or you write neatly. Neatly is an adverb. Okay, so again this adverb is set in three levels: the word level, the phrase level, and the clause level. So you have adverbial phrase, adverbial clause, and so on. So at the word level, let's try to find out how it functions at the word level. So adverbs, they qualify a verb, an adjective, or even other verbs. Okay, sorry, or even other adverbs. So they function at three levels: at the word level, the phrase level, and the clause level. Let's see how it functions at the word level. At the word level, I'm leaving later. So it is qualifying the verb leaving. When am I leaving? I am leaving later. So this word at word level, the word later qualifies the verb leaving. Okay. Now we have the next one, the phrase level. Put the book on the table. You have the phrase on the table. Okay, so it asks the question, where should you put it? Where should you put it? You should put the book on the table. So at phrase level, the adverb qualifies where you must put the book. Okay, so put, the verb here, put the books. Where should you put the books? The verb here you have put. Put the book on the table. Where should you put the book? On the table. So the phrase, at the phrase level you have the adverb on the table. So it's an adverbial phrase. Next one is the clause. So you can clearly see the clause here, because she felt sick. Okay, so because she felt sick, Betty went home. Why did she go home? It answers the question. Why did Betty go home? She went home. Why did she go home? Because she felt sick. So the clause is answered here. So it is the adverb functions at the clause level, adverbial clause. Next is conjunctions. Conjunctions are words that connect words, phrases and clauses. They are called the connectors. Okay, they are the connecting words. There are three groups of conjunctions: the coordinating conjunction, subordinating conjunction, correlative conjunction. Now, although they perform basically at word level, they can create phrases, they can create clauses and also different patterns of sentences. Conjunctions may be small, they are just very tiny words, but they play a pivotal role in one's understanding of grammatical analysis. Okay, now let's go for the coordinating conjunction. Bob and Sue went camping. Now look at the small word here, and. Bob and Sue went camping. Alright, the squirrel ran up a tree, but I still got a picture of it. The squirrel ran up a tree, but I still got a picture of it. So that's a coordinating conjunction. Right? Now next is subordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunctions, for example, it's better to teach with examples and give you the rules, because rules are confusing. So I'll give you the example of subordinating conjunction. Now subordinating conjunctions, while they are putting the Christmas tree, the dog knocked it over. While they were putting the Christmas tree, the dog knocked it over. While they were putting the Christmas tree, I've used a short form, don't do that, Christmas tree, the dog knocked it over. Now here you have while, the word while. While is a subordinative conjunction. Alright, coordinating conjunction, Bob and Sue went camping, the squirrel ran up the tree, but I still got a picture of it. So that's a coordinating conjunction. Yes, again this is something that you learned at high school, 8th standard to be precise. Now next is correlative conjunction. Correlative conjunctions are pairs, neither nor, not only but also. All these are correlative conjunctions. Like for instance, neither the coach nor the players knew what caused the loss. Neither nor. These are correlative conjunctions. They are pairs. They come together. Okay. So Conjunctions, they play a pivotal role in grammatical analysis. They perform mostly at the word level, but they can also create phrases, clauses, and new structures as well, different patterns of sentences. And you have three groups of, we can divide into three groups of conjunctions. You have the correlative, you have the subordinating, and the coordinating conjunctions. Okay, so now we will move on to prepositions. Okay, I know it's pretty boring, but don't worry, when we get to the practical side, it will become really interesting. But theory is something that you have to study. You have no other go other than to study the theory. So this is parts of speech, and we will very soon, when we come to function class, we will see that though we name it a noun, though we name it an adjective, though we name it or label it a verb, we will find that these nouns, adjectives and verbs can also do the function of the, like for instance, a noun can also do the function of a verb, okay, and vice versa. So we will soon find that this traditional method sometimes can be questioned, and what we study right now, the grammar that we study right now is based on functional English. The grammar that we learn is functional grammar. So it is basically to do with the function of that particular word and how it functions. Okay, so we will study that in the next topic. Now, right now we are studying grammatical labels, or how they are labeled or why they are labeled so. Now, prepositions, they are the names given to these words. Prepositions. What are prepositions? You have studied prepositions. It's quite easy. On, under, over, in, at, all these are prepositions. Okay, between you and me, I'm not surprised. Put your dirty socks in the laundry basket. One of the children is late for the party. So all this consists of what? All these consist of prepositions. Again, they can be in the form of phrases, prepositional phrases. Alright, so if I am to give you an example for prepositional phrase, it would be one of the children is late for the party. One of the children is late for the party. Of the children is a prepositional phrase, and so is for the party. One of the children is late for the party. One of the children and for the party becomes a prepositional phrase. I don't want to confuse you too much, so we'll just speak about prepositions. Prepositions can also come as prepositional phrases. All right, do you want some more examples? Put your dirty socks in the laundry basket. So in the laundry basket is a prepositional phrase. It's a phrase and preposition comes next to it. So in the laundry basket, where? In the laundry basket. So it acts as a phrase. So it's a prepositional phrase because you have in. Clear? For the party, of the children. All these are prepositional phrases. And the last one is interjection. Interjection is like, hey, wow, excellent, bravo, alas. All these are interjections, congratulations. Okay, so with that we have completed our grammatical labels. Now we will move on to functional label. We will soon find that whatever we studied, that is the labels, grammatical labels, that is parts of speech, sometimes gets challenged. We studied a noun is a naming word. We studied verb is an action. We studied adjectives describe something. Let's see how they get challenged here. Now, a word, to be precise, cannot be accurately labeled as we studied in the traditional parts of speech. We studied earlier, grammatical label. A word cannot be labeled like that. We call it a noun, we call it a verb, we call it an adjective and we define it, right? But there are times when a noun can perform as a verb or an adjective or even an adverb. Take the word light for example. Let's take the word light, okay? Light for example. Now look at the word turn on the light. Turn on the light here. How does light function? The word light functions as a noun here. It's very clear, right? Turn on what? Turn on the light. So we are speaking about light as of light, which is the name. So light, noun. Okay, good. Now what about the next one? I wish you wouldn't light a cigarette in here. I wish you wouldn't I wish you wouldn't light your cigarette in here. What about this light then? Does it function as a noun? No, it doesn't. Here it is lighting the cigarette. It's an action, right? So this word light, as we named earlier, this is light here as of noun. So when it comes to the next sentence, it is not functioning as a noun, it is not the name, but rather it is functioning as an action. So the word light, the very word light, is functioning as a verb here. So how can you call a word, or how can you label a word as naming word? Or noun is a naming word. You said noun is a naming word. It's a name. Light is also a name. But then that word functions as noun in certain places, whereas it functions as a verb in certain other places. So we can say that a word cannot be precisely labeled. It is labeled according to the function it does. Okay, so here it is a verb. The light here is a verb. Now let's take the next example. The cake was light and fluffy. The cake was light and fluffy. So how does this light work here? It works as function as it is describing the cake. So it functions here as an adjective, right? So see how it changes. It changes from the noun, it changes to a verb. The word here is used as an adjective. It can also be used as an adverb. His eyes were light blues is an adverb because it is describing the adjective blue. So it is an adverb. So again it changes. His eyes were light blue. His eyes were light blue. Blue is the adjective. So the light here performs as an adverb. See how it changes? So a word cannot be labeled precisely. It keeps changing according to the function it takes. So see, failure to understand this principle is probably the cause for all confusion for the students of grammar. The students usually know that the subject of a sentence must have a noun or a pronoun. However, they often fall into the trap of calling every noun of the sentence a subject. Okay, this is the common error. So this problem can be avoided if one understands the function within a sentence and realize that labels are to be attached according to what? According to the function it does. Okay. All right. So with this we shall end this session. I will see you in the discussion class. Thank you.